The Tome of Tales.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's Jade, the DM for the amazing Dicemension group and the campaign The Relenting. I have my big tome of history and lore, and today I am going to be talking about the southwest of the Unbound territories. The Unbound Territories is a land that I actually created myself, and the Southwest is an integral and amazing part of that the Relenting actually is going to take place in. So the Southwest was founded around 4,000 years ago. So elves actually brought their human slaves across from ships to the east, where they then landed in the southwest of the Unbound Territories. So it is loosely connected to the D&D universe, where elves and the humans came over on their ships to settle in a new land, because elves were extremely aggravated with the way they were being treated in the general D&D universe, and wanted to take humans and to settle in a new place to be more well respected. So that's what they did. They got on their ships, they brought human slaves with them, and as soon as they landed in the rich woodlands of the southwest, they knew they had made the right choice. And thousands of wood elves and their human slaves came over to the southwest to invade. What does that mean for the relationship between the humans and the elves? Well, when they first settled into the southwest, they were unable to see the people who actually lived here, which were the dwarves, and there are many, many dwarves that had been living in the Unbound Territories for centuries, and they started to war with each other, and the humans were given a choice. They would be given their freedom by the elves if they fought the dwarves, or they could fight for their freedom if they fought with the dwarves against the elves. And it kind of split into two territories. And the humans that sided with these dwarves ended up really moving around, conquering the other lands of the Unbound Territories. But most of the humans that lived in the southwest are the direct descendants of the humans that decided to stay and fight with the elves that they came with, and they were given their freedom. The population of the southwest is quite an interesting thing, because the southwest is such a tribalistic and survivalistic land. The people in the northeast, who are the ones that decide the populations for the entire globe, don't actually know how many people and elves and creatures that there are in the southwest. But because no one has ever been able to invade the southwest, because they use poison and tactics of survival and stealth, no armies have been able to break through. So the northeast genuinely believe there are about 4 times the amount of elves and humans in the southwest than there actually are. In fact, they're just sporadic little pockets of communities of either elves and humans. There's about 70% of elves in the southwest and about 30% of humans. Most of them co-create and co-mingle. However, there are specific just elven and just human territories in the southwest. The weather in the southwest is mixed, because to the west they have the sea, so the further the west and nearer the coast, the colder it is. And that's the same with the north, because the northwest above the southwest is full of mountains, and it's icy and it's cold. It's kind of like a Scandinavian climate. It's colder up in those forests, but the further south that you get and further to the east you get, it becomes hotter and muggier and more humid, because the winds of the deserts coming in from the southeast are blowing through, so the ground is it's a lot hotter, and the further south you get, the more muggy, the more swampy it gets, because then you're going into the foggy lands of the south. So some interesting places in the southwest. The southwest is crawling with ancient dwarven ruins. Now, some of these ancient dwarven ruins have been completely grown over by nature, and monsters and things seem to live inside these overgrown temples. But in the places where the dwarves and the elves and the humans tend to help each other and they coexist for survival, the elves and the humans help the dwarves to keep the nature at bay using natural and wooden magic, and the wood elves helping the dwarves. And there's a symbiosis between them, because then the dwarves, being on the ground, protect the elves who are high up in the trees from attack from the ground level from orcs. And the most interesting racial tendency is the hatred for tieflings. Now, tieflings were the only race that when they tried to invade the Southwest, they didn't do so by force. They used coercion and bribery and flirtation and magic and corruption to get into the Southwest. Whereas orcs and some of the dwarfs and other races that were invading from the west, they used totally different tactics, and therefore there is a hatred between the elves and the tieflings because they can't trust each other. So you will very, very rarely ever find a tiefling in the Southwest because they are kicked out of the trees, and if an elf gives birth to a tiefling, they're basically chucked out of the trees, like kicked off like a Spartan mountain, basically. They don't like each other. So even though there is a symbiosis and there is a trust between most of the races, you will find that they will still war with each other for more space. And even though the humans are pretty happy with the fact that they aren't slaves any longer, the more generations have gone on, the more they seem to have forgotten that their origins were as slaves, and they're now starting to come back at the dwindling population of elves, really creating the same issues that the elves fled the west for. The elven capital is Selenor, and it has between 80,000 to 100,000 elves, and Selenor is a beautiful, large forest where they love music and poetry and art, and the trees are so high that all stargazing has centres around this part of Selenor and the Southwest. Because of the fact that the trees are so high, they're able to see further up into the stars the further up they climb. And it's a beautiful paradise and utopia just for the elves, all elven architecture. And although there are some humans that live there, it's about 10%. And they're only really welcomed as long as they respect the ancient traditions of the wood elves that live there. And the human capital of Arnacroft houses 90,000 humans. It is on the apex and the centre of the three lands, the southwest, the northeast and the northwest. So it serves as the hub of protection, and the humans that live there, although they are tribalistic and they're survivalistic, and they are really good with poisons and stealth and archery and bows, they are also getting more involved in modern armours and swords, because they are the ones that stop invaders coming into the southwest. So they have to keep on with the tactics of the enemies. So it's the really one of the only two places of civilization in the southwest that isn't trading and oral stories. It's more of a civilization with laws and structures and justice systems, because of the fact that they are so close to the other areas of civilization, but also because they need to make sure that they're not going to get invaded. And it's very interesting because it's where our very own Marv hails from. He actually grew up in Arnacroft with a elven mother and a human father, and the elven mother travelled into Arnacroft and disappeared, leaving Marv and his father living in Arnacroft, and he learning the ways of the elves but also the ways of the humans as well. So that is the Southwest. I hope you've enjoyed this video. We're going to do loads more lore along the way. So let us know down below in the comments if you have anything that you want to know about the Southwest or the other lands. And we will obviously be giving you the histories of some of the characters along the way, and also generally the world. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.